When you experience something, like dialing a phone number, the experience is converted into a pulse of electrical energy that zips along a network of neurons. Information first lands in short-term memory, where it's available from anywhere from a few seconds to a couple of minutes. It's then transferred to long-term memory through areas such as the hippocampus and finally to several storage regions across the brain. Neurons throughout the brain communicate at dedicated sites called synapses using specialized neurotransmitters. If two neurons communicate repeatedly, a remarkable thing happens. The efficiency of communication between them increases.
Like, recall is how you reach back into your mind and bring up information just as you do in fill-in-the-blank tests. So if I say blank is the capital of Greece, your brain hopefully would just recall the answer as Athens.
Eyes and hair. Steve has brown eyes and 4 daughters. Each daughter has blonde hair and green eyes. His son, Larry, has the same colored eyes as his father. Steve's wife, Marge, has red hair and blue eyes.
Of course, we all forget things, and typically we do it in one of 3 different ways. We fail to encode it, we fail to retrieve it, or we experience what psychologists call storage decay. Sometimes forgetting something just means it never really got through your encoding process in the first place. I mean, think of all the stuff that's going on around you at any given moment. We only actually notice a fraction of what we sense, and we can only consciously hold so many bits of information in our minds at any given time, so what we fail to notice, we tend to not encode and thus don't remember. Because your mind, amazing as it is, can really only hold between 4 and 7 distinct bits of information at a time, at which point the memory either decays or it gets transferred into long-term memory. A lot of times forgetting doesn't mean our memory just faded to black, it means we can't call it up on demand because of retrieval failure. Sometimes these retrieval problems stem from interference from other memories getting in the way, essentially cluttering the brain.
In the graph of average quiz score for gender, we can see that the females on average scored higher than the males, having a mean of approximately 7.2 out of 10 questions answered correctly, whereas the males had an average of 5.9 questions answered correctly out of 10. This data provides enough statistical significance for us to assume that females, on average, have a better short-term memory than males. In the graph of average quiz score for reading versus listening to the passage, we can see that the average number of questions answered correctly for reading, the mean number of questions answered correctly for those who read the passage is approximately 6.6 questions correct out of 10. Whereas the subjects who listened to the passage got a mean of approximately 6.5 questions correct out of 10. This data does not provide statistically significant evidence that reading the passage versus listening to the passage makes a difference on the average quiz score of the subject.
In the end, how much information you encode and remember depends on both the time you took to learn it and how you made it personally relevant to you.